Brand new developments in the battle for a key voting bloc. Just a month ago, President Obama was in the lead big time when it came to women voters. And there was lots of talk of a gender gap. Governor Romney, however, seems to have turned things around. The latest poll putting the nominees dead even among women, tied now with 47% apiece, each man having 47% of the female vote. That is a far cry from the 16-point lead the president enjoyed just a few weeks back. How did it happen, and what does it mean? Joining me now, Nance, who's the former CEO of Concerned Women for America, and Julie Roginski, who's a Fox News contributor and former political advisor to New Jersey Senator Frank Lautenberg. Ladies, welcome. So, Barack Obama needs the women because, at least in the weeks and months leading up to this election, he has struggled with the men, and he's had a nice gender gap with the women. So he's been sort of, the women will put him over the edge. And so the Team Obama needs those women. And the question is whether we are to believe these polls, Julie, because we saw one from Gallup, we saw one from another organization, and now we have this one today that say Mitt Romney's entirely closed the gap, but the Obama campaign is calling it into question.
Well, yeah, look, the gender gap's been closed on both sides. Romney used to have a tremendous advantage with men. It's been closed. Obama used to have a tremendous gap with women. And I do think something's to be said for these polls. I would believe them because you've seen the race tighten overall. You can't possibly write off 50% of the population and then say at the same time that the race has tightened. Obviously, these polls are reflective of where we are today. Again, Obama has closed the gap with men. Romney has closed the gap with women. And the race now is not just for women. It's interesting. Women are not really the monolith that they're fighting over. It seems to be that they're actually fighting over the so-called waitress moms, the high school graduate white women who I don't know why they're called waitress moms, but people without a college degree who seem to be reflective of this demographic that they're both fighting over, and whoever gets this demographic, it seems to me, will probably most likely win the female vote, according to the polls that I've read.
What was interesting to me in these polls, Penny, is that even though these women in the latest poll seem to be much more with Barack Obama on social issues, women's issues, so-called women's issues when it comes to reproductive rights and so on, they were much more with Mitt Romney on the economy. And he turned what was an advantage that President Obama had on the economy. It was a 16-point advantage that the women were giving President Obama on the economy in September, so just last month, into a 4-point Romney advantage, a 20-point swing to Romney's favor when it comes to the economy, and that has been the thing that narrowed the gap.
That's exactly right, Megyn. Concerned Women for America, my organization, did a poll about 2 weeks ago and found that the #1 issue for women were jobs and the economy by 79%. So what you're seeing is this tightening of the race because women are not monolithic. I mean, we believe in a whole host of issues on the life issue and marriage and a number of issues. But right now, the #1 issue on people's minds is jobs. About 5.5 million women, fewer women, have jobs than they had 4 years ago. So they know what's happening to the economy. They care about the debt. They care about their children's future. And so that, I think, is plenty to what you've seen in these polls.
And yet, on social issues, Julie, the Democrats are continue to pound those and to try to urge women to understand that they don't think the Republican Party is with them on reproductive rights in particular. And there's a Senate candidate out in Indiana, this Murdoch guy, who said the other day that if a woman gets pregnant by a rape, it's all part of God's plan. And then the Democrat in the race had also backed a definition of forcible rape, which made him controversial. Neither one is pro-choice, but the Democrats are not giving up on this issue.
Well, if I could take off my partisan hat for a second and sort of put on a more analytical hat, Mitt Romney has to play this Murdoch case that you brought up very, very carefully because he has endorsed him. He is standing by that endorsement. He's the only Senate candidate he's actually cut an ad for. And,
but he disavowed those comments.
I'm sorry, he did disavow them. I think he should be a little bit more forceful, not as a Democrat. I'm saying this as somebody who, if Romney wants to maintain that he's a friend to women, that he's going to be on the side of women, not very forcibly disavowing, not pulling his endorsement ad down for a candidate who believes that you should just, if you get raped, then you get pregnant by virtue of that rape, that this is all God's plan, so, just live with it. Again, this is not a partisan aspect of my party. This is just, if I were advising Romney, which I don't think he wants my advice, but if I were, I would say to him, this is the kind of stuff that can really trip you up with women. You're making great strides among
Romney's
women,
position
but now
is,
he's doing it.
Romney supports abortion in the case of rape or incest. He does not feel the same. Penny, I'll give you the last word.
Megyn, this administration is treated women as if we vote on our ovaries alone. We look at the overall picture. And the discussion about Murdoch was about the sovereignty of God in the midst of evil. It was a theological discussion, bad idea to have on the campaign stump because it needs to be treated sensitively. The bottom line is Murdoch is pro-life. He believes life begins at conception. So do I. Mitt Romney believes there should be rape, incest exceptions, and he said that. So at the end of the day, people who are pro-life, people that are originally with Murdoch will be with him again and will vote for him. And at the end of the day, I don't think that this issue has any bearing on the outcome of the election. Women care about the whole picture. Women care about the economy. They care about debt. They care about national security. We don't just think with our quote-unquote lady parts. We think with our brains, and then we're going to vote with our brains.
I've never heard anybody put it that way. Overall, not ovaries. Just to narrow down. Ladies, thank you both so much for your insights.
Thanks so much, Megyn.
All right, see you soon. Well, extreme weather warning.